Hello, everybody. Well, what a pivotal moment today, at least for me, is because everything falls into place now. And this is something that we see for many of our members. And now it happened for me too. And let me explain what this means. Those following us know that we use a local folder to manage our business, our life, everything through AI, all on one local folder. That I would say this at some point in my life. I think we both would never have expected this, Paco, because we've been always defending cloud services like PKM tools and note-taking apps, that it's okay to share your content online and so on. And we are not saying anything against it and didn't change the mind. The thing is, having it now in a local folder makes it so much more efficient, accessible, manageable, your content, your knowledge. It's easier to consolidate everything together, but it was just not an option in the past because you had to have a proper database set up. And well, a lot of things that come into these software tools, looking into myICOR, building something this for ourselves and for our members. Obviously, there's so much more that goes into software to provide information in a proper way. But AI changed the game when it comes to knowledge, personal knowledge management. And this is really where everything ended up for both of us, both professionals, having businesses. Well, multi-business owner, you, Paco, with brick and mortar business as well. And yet, there we are with a local folder and everything in just one folder. And why is this a pivotal moment for me? Well, I had two separate folders in the past year. It's only a year. Can you imagine this, Paco? It's nearly a year now when we started using Claude and had the first steps. And in this year, we built up this folder structure, the file system behind this, everything based on Markdown and common sense, upgradable to SQLite databases and even vector data. We are not going into this because for most people it's not necessary. And yet, here we are. And in the past few days, we launched the folder, the final version for our members. And this is more efficient than ever before. So I now finally merged all my knowledge. And we are talking about hundreds of thousands of notes and interconnected items and so on into this no folder. And I just started using it today, all in one place. What a beautiful experience this was. I mean, it was already efficient, and I was leveraging this the past year, obviously, as we all see here with the application that we built with it and the management. And it's just the two of us left in this one business working on it. No additional people needed. So anybody saying AI is just hype and you cannot leverage this to get real work done, this is, you have no idea then. So Paco, well, we are now on the same plate because you've been using one folder all the time. And now here we are.
And the thing is that it's not a matter of one folder or one server, because I think that that's not the discussion. We are using a local folder because that's the only way that we have to interact with our own content right now based on how LLMs are working, okay? If I would have to move something to any cloud, I could do it, okay? It's not a matter of being local or being on server. The thing is the solution behind. I think that it's the customization that creates the difference, okay? I started creating this system last November, seriously, thinking about it quite a while, and then going all in because I was perceiving that the world of PKM, how we manage information and how we manage, well, it can go beyond, but we won't go into that whole, okay, of the world of action, because the world of information is the one that you can really leverage the moment that you start doing these type of things. And it's something that it's amazing because now you have no gaps, okay? When you were using any tool, no matter how beautiful design it was, it's impossible to be fully customized for your needs, okay? For your daily work, for your type of life or how your brain works. But now it's possible, okay? We will repeat and repeat and repeat this dogma that it's obviously we're not gonna develop a linear or a Slack or whatever, but creating a simple, quote simple, okay? Because the moment that we go wild into this. It's not simple at all, okay? You dedicate time to it. But the thing is that every single minute of time that you dedicate to it, it allows you to work much better, okay? You can bring your own and personal work streams to your system. You can bring, I think that the sensation that you are having right now, Tom, is that you are really leveraging all the insane amount of content that you've been storing and trying to link and take the best out of it for decades. Now, everything is so accessible, okay, because AI is bringing a lot of insights when that information is well structured.
Yeah.
And we are seeing how people who had no clue about ICOR just 1 month ago, because I'm referring to this because I was shocked today when I saw, well, it was a huge entry in our myICOR tool, the platform that we use to improve how busy professionals become really productive.
Well, let me
It
share
was
this.
impressive. It was impressive because
Wait, Paco. Let's share this. But while I'm looking this up, sorry.
Yeah.
No. While I'm opening up the comments, right? You shared it with me, or I can. I just want to. Maybe you can say something. The shift from ChatGPT to Claude that actually unleashed all this for you last year, right? And then we get back to the comment that you received there.
Correct. And the thing is that this comment says it all, okay? A person who had no idea about ICOR, the methodology behind how we organize this famous folder, okay, says it all, okay? It has completely changed for this person how he works, the outcomes, and it's beautiful to see how we have been able to communicate this knowledge to someone who had no clue about ICOR and the methodology behind. And now he's immediately delivering, I think, the combination of a solid foundational core like ICOR plus the pragmatism that we put into this folder and a scaffold that we brought to the table creates that you start working completely different. And the sense of fulfillment, I'm convinced that this is not hype. It's not just the moment like when you change to a new tool, okay, as it's new, okay, that brings you that sensation of fulfillment, of hype, of wow, now I will change, this will change everything. And after just several weeks, you are again at the same starting point, or even worse, okay, you have moved backwards, okay, because the pros that you saw in that initial attempt to the tool, now you are feeling all the trade-offs, okay, that you have by making that decision. But here, it's impossible, okay, because all the things, all the features, here we can see the insane entry post. I don't care if this is AI generated because it's fully customized to the experience, okay, because that's the thing. The moment that your PKA system really knows you, it's able to express what you would express, but with less effort, because that's the thing, okay? And in a way that is bringing and combining absolutely all the different thoughts that you have related to that topic, that it's amazing. And that's how you can really impact others, okay? Well, I don't know, and I don't care, because it seems like if it's AI generated, it's not valid.
It is refined with AI, something that everybody does now, right? But the thing is, as you say, the content matters that he's putting here, and this is based on an article, right? So just people get a feeling who don't know your articles. It's a 21-minute read that you posted, and that's where we are in the comments down below here. And he's not the only one sharing positive words, but this is a whole essay about this, and this is something you shared this morning with me, just to show how well summarized this comment, or how well this comment summarizes everything that we also perceive in the community all the time.
Correct. And it's so fulfilling to see how well people are moving from feeling overwhelmed to really have the sense of control and fulfillment that you have just shared when we started this episode. Because this is the truth, okay? This is the truth, and this is the pivotal moment, the revolution that we are inside, because every single week we are moving forward. And also, in our case, it's not just the two of us at an individual level, but also about the business that we are running, the two of us together, because the platform is improving at to a level that it was really difficult for us to imagine that this was going something doable, okay?
Yeah.
And especially just on our own, okay? Because in the past, well, you would have to hire a team of developers, designers, well, something crazy, and also make those people really understand and get the point of what our business is. And I think that this is amazing.
Yeah, and here we are inside the chat in the live stream. So thanks so much, Helmut, for your shout out here. So these are people who are following us in the past 2 weeks, and also a shout out to you guys for your patience, because the course that we launched, right, where we share how to build this scaffold from scratch, but you can now download this even for free on GitHub. This has now 32 lessons where each individual part of this folder is explained, why it exists and how the team works in there. And I see every now and then on my YouTube videos comments like, it's just making the team, the AI pretend to work as a team and all this. This is not the case. If you say something like this, then you never used this folder structure or understand what is in there and how things are interconnected. It's nonsense. Claude is literally launching sub agents. They are just named this way. Obviously, this is the thing that is pretending to be an agent with a specific name. But the functionality behind this, and other people are saying, well, but it's always loading in your whole knowledge base every time you launch this, and it's consuming a lot more tokens, which is also not true, because the way we have this set up, and we can actually go into here, because in the course we show the folder structure and explain the different parts of the folder. Here's a team knowledge, for example. And how all this works is that there is one orchestrator, that's Larry, who has the overview of the team, what is available, what the team can do, the team members and all this. And he has the index files, and therefore he understands, based on the question that you have, what he needs to load in, what context he needs to load in to work on your request. And if you use something like the skills and the plugins and all this natively on Claude, this is no big difference. But what is a difference is that people have these huge Claude.md files. If you open, well, in this case, it's not showing, it's in the next lesson, but this Claude.md file is very short, as it is just pointing to all the other things in here. So this means this LLM is using just what it needs to get the information based on the indexes that we have to organize the Markdown files. It's highly efficient to find the relevant information that you're looking for in your knowledge base, because here's PKM, we have a CRM in there, we have documents, images, journal, where they have daily journaling, and then obviously all the structure that we teach with myLife. And all this is indexed, makes it much more efficient for LLM to find, to go into the right direction, to narrow down what it's looking for. But then also people say, but Markdown is not efficient enough. It's funny, right, Paco? We just heard about another person saying publicly, and that's another trend and hype there, I'm going for HTML now instead of Markdown because it looks nicer. That's nonsense in our opinion, because HTML adds more information into these Markdown files. I mean, more syntax. So there's much more tokens needed. It will take much longer. And for most parts where Markdown is used, it's only LLM visible. So I don't care how it looks in the first place anyway. And then only the front-facing results I can convert into HTML and so on. Not going deeper into this. But the thing is, now people say, but Markdown is inefficient. And that's what we agree. But if people say this is outdated or going backwards, guys, what about the hype with Obsidian? Right? This is Markdown only. There is no there's no special thing, and that's why it's not efficient. And that's why our folder structure, just with one single prompt, you can say upgrade to an SQLite database interconnection, and it will do it because it's ingrained in the team knowledge work streams. It's is it there? Well, I have to, let's open up the actual folder instead of in the course. So if I go now, here, I just finished migration to my own version desktop, and there were a lot of working folders, but this is now the latest one. Let's go to info, so you see I'm not bullshitting everybody. This is the folder, and well, it's not even loading because there's so many things in there, so it will take a while to index this, but well, as it is more than 100,000 items, it will take a while. So we go in here, and you see here, there's this team knowledge, and if you go here, as well, make this bigger, SOPs, yeah, look at this. These are my SOPs. And it migrated and consolidated things together. And then we have here, well, it keeps loading. And then we have here the work streams. And in this work streams, we see also the, do you see it? Well, here's the import external knowledge. We have the expansions. And there is also the SQLite upgrade instructions. But in the end, you know, it's all transparent. You can download the scaffold for yourself and simply open this up, and you see perfectly how we just give natural language instructions to LLM to upgrade all this or initialize itself. So it's here, there, from Markdown to SQLite, upgrading. Here it is. Convert my PKA to SQLite. Here's exactly the instructions. And that's what people called prompt engineering in the past. That's what you get, right? So you can do this all yourself, but it is just there out of the box. So if you want to go from Markdown to a proper database setup, there you go. In my case, at least, you're not using Claude databases yet, but my Larry team was even living in Superbase on a Claude database, and now I merged everything back into the local folder because I can. It is just wild, because this was especially the migration video that I made, where I shared how I migrated all these hundreds of thousand files into this one folder now, how seamless all this worked. And this is where, well, if anybody says it's not working, it's not based on assumptions. It is based on our own experience. And this makes it so nice to work and to see other members using it, and it works for them too. And obviously, this is where in the past 2 weeks, where I said about the patience. Thanks for your patience there, because there was a lot of updates, and this was giving you a lot more, because now out of the box you have 9 agents. You can just see all based for professionals. You can create slide decks out of the box. You can create social media images, whatever you like. All this is out of the box. You can connect your external databases, Slack, Notion, or whatever, because there's an agent there who understands the APIs, and all this is out of the box. But the thing is, when people said, but I started 2 weeks ago with the basic version, guys, I did this too. I didn't update my folder for years because I was building everything in parallel. Then we built a scaffold folder out of it, out of our conclusions from our own versions. And now I migrated everything back into this new folder, and it works perfectly. So if you just have, 2 weeks and you said, I started a new thing, that's no problem at all. Just point it to the new folder, and it has even a script in there that understands what is the difference, and it imports everything perfectly. So it shouldn't be an issue.
It's amazing how these massive operations work, because I think that something that I have concluded is that I have removed being afraid about failure, because I can make a mistake and I can refactor everything with the new solution and nothing happens. Okay, I haven't lost any data. I leave the agents working there in parallel, and I don't care. I just see the end results. I comment over the results and the things that I'm basing, and it's a way of working that is delicious. I would say that is fantastic, because you can test any crazy idea you have, and if it doesn't work, there's no problem at all. There's no problem at all. Also, I remember in the past when I was afraid about, well, should I create this table and then I create a connection? But man, if it doesn't work, how do I, rebuild everything? How I can move myself backwards? And now you don't care. You just develop, see the end result, and if it's not what you expected, it doesn't matter. And also, it's important that if you force your system to learn on every iteration, it's amazing how it compounds. It's amazing. I'm surprised, so surprised about this, because it's amazing.
And that's
amazing.
actually a good point that you bring this up, because we have here a comment on YouTube. How does your setup compare to Andrew Capati's LLM wiki? And that's exactly the same hype trend that we see now with the HTML, that this is very basic. I mean, this is where that's how I started to load my knowledge in and then have a wiki out of it. And I want to share with you now because what Capacity is sharing there is the integration of this. Sorry, let's bring this back. I open up.
Is that I don't get the point of these trends, okay? And
yeah.
this
because look at this, okay? Obsidian is overwhelmed. It starts crashing because of the huge amount of information that it's loading in. See, it's still indexing, okay? It's not possible to show the knowledge graph anymore. This is guys, this is if you work as a professional for years and you gather knowledge over time. There's knowledge since 2017 in there. So don't tell me that Obsidian and I link my thinking and all this. That's nonsense, because see, it builds up the connections here. So what is it in the end? Why am I able to show this graph here? Because I have the wiki-link connections there, just to show you the connection. See how it's struggling.
It's moving.
Yeah, it's moving. It's always, I mean, I enjoy looking at this, okay? That's a nice thing to look at, but it tells you nothing at all. Obviously, here the cluster, this is where the guidelines and the SOPs sit and the agents are interconnected with. That's just, if you just open the empty or the scaffold folder in Obsidian, this is actually nice to see, because it shows how interconnected our folder is out of the box, how everything is interconnected and perfectly. That's what it's telling you. And now you see, once it's finished, that's a huge amount. And I didn't even activate the attachments, because that completely crashed my Mac here. Because when I activated the 17,000 attachments that I have there, which are PDF files, invoices, all this is not what I need anymore. I need to have something that is more efficient, and then you go to databases, because it helps you to organize this all more. But you can still have it in this Markdown setup and use the database only to make the search more efficient. That's how we is the next iteration of the SQLite that you would do here. So yeah, you see how this is connecting, and that's obviously what people always get excited about, going on social media and seeing these from Andrew and these exciting things. Oh, look how everything is interconnected. But guys, there's nothing special behind this. I can build this knowledge graph myself in 30 minutes. I just tell my team, build me a knowledge graph, and it will create this, because these are now libraries that you can download. And I'm not going deeper into this, but we even had this in myICOR, and I removed it because it's not telling you anything except to make something look amazing, and it's easier to sell. But this being said, Obsidian is still great if you want to have a visual representation. You see here on the side, there's the team. Look, these are all my team. I have a lot more team members in here, so I have perfect access to all of these different team members. I have my PKM here, and there you see. So, you know, I just showed this yesterday, Paco. Look, my first entry, 2017, where this was my third video on YouTube.
Setup.
Right?
Setup, yeah.
The third video that I published on YouTube, it perfectly imported it, but also connected it already to existing things like the YouTube channel. And then here is the Heptabase import, everything. And I didn't do this manually. And I was working by corporate with databases, and you too, right? You know what it means to do migrations between databases and all this, and the SQL queries and all this. Guys, that's just a dream, man. And anybody who is saying this is not working is afraid of their job, or I don't know what it is. But if you close the eyes for how efficient you can work now when it comes to these type of knowledge work and owning your data and all this, then you're missing out. Sorry, totally. I went into a rant here.
The thing is that the thing is that we need to understand that we are moving to the roots, okay? Because I cannot understand that people say, well, oh yes, I can generate an HTML file. So what? I mean, this was the starting point of the internet. You know, when I think that the first time that I started using it was 1995, 1994, and HTML was the only thing. Okay, we had to learn all the commands, and that's how we created those pages that a browser could read.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that the moment that you have a PKA like this one, you can generate any outcome you feel comfortable about. You can generate an image, you can generate a PowerPoint, you can generate a PDF, you can generate slides, you can generate Markdown if you like that. By the way, I don't understand that people say that Markdown is, well, inefficient or not clear at all. Here you can see
this is the article that we are talking here about.
Article,
right?
Yeah.
That was.
But here, no matter that this is obviously HTML behind, but this is Markdown behind. You got headers, you got sections, you got, and
What we
it's a
see
way
here,
of understanding text. Okay, you can insert images without any problem, and I can read this pretty comfortable. Okay,
it's so funny that this article is about that using HTML to make it more readable and so on. So I perfectly understand. That's where you get people again, because you go here. If you're in your folder and you open up Markdown, it looks like this. And now you say, it's not nice to read and so on. But open this up in a proper Markdown reader or in VS Code or in Obsidian, by the way, which is all Markdown, right? No HTML at all. That's what you get. So why would I now, just for sake of make it more looking better, using HTML for everything? That's the point here.
Yeah, that's the thing, because that's the beauty of this, that you are not,
and he admits down here, because
into any format. You are not trapped into any format. You are not trapped into the UX of a specific tool, because if you don't like Obsidian, if you don't like Tana, if you don't like Heptabase, well, that's the UX that you have, man. It is what it is. But now you can perfectly develop the perfect UX that you want and the type of outcome. I use all of them. Okay, I use Markdown, I use PDF, I use slides, I use images, I use, depending on the thing that I'm expecting, how the heck I'm gonna create a graph, okay, of, I don't know, revenue using Markdown. That doesn't make any sense, but that's common sense, okay? I don't need nobody coming to tell me the right format. I'm used to these type of formats because they are the sources of everything, okay? We are talking about such a simplistic approach because we are going back to a structure of folders that it's something that anyone understands. Okay, that's why they're starting note-taking tools like Evernote, for instance, created folders, because that was the way people always thought about storing information. And here it's again as basic as we started. Okay, but with the huge potential of bringing AI into this simplistic structure that allows us to deliver amazing outcomes.
That's the thing, because we don't need to read the code. It is at least letters that we need, or symbols, right? So it's really efficient, and it looks ugly. It's hard to read if you see this in the terminal coming up and so on. It's hard. But I open this up. Keep this in mind. WS001, okay, daily journaling. Let's open the exact same thing up inside Obsidian. We go here, team knowledge, work streams, daily journaling. This is the exact same thing that we just have seen in an ugly way. And now open in Obsidian. See, even the table. So let's go back again to compare it. There we are.
Correct.
See, this is the table. And it looks ugly, obviously, in the preview, and you can even download a previewer to make this look properly formatted. But this is when you open it up in Obsidian. There's no magic behind this, because all these things like the dots, or that this is a header and you can collapse the C even if you select it, this is Markdown. It shows you the 3 hashtags the moment you go there, because this is the Markdown. And therefore, based on these simple rules, you can have proper formatting. And this is where, when you go into, because I had to laugh so much when Paco shared with me this HTML article, and I just finished the migration of our own content in our membership, in our membership platform, to this new format. without any issues at all. And now, where everything, all of this was HTML based, and now everything is based on Markdown, and it just understands it and presents it in the front end in a different way. So let's go back here and see, isn't it less token efficient? Yes, it is less token efficient. And we want to have the knowledge actually with less syntax. It's insane the amount of additional tokens that the LLM has to read if you have a vast database like the one that I showed with all the additional syntax on top. And HTML adds, I'm not going too deep into the code now, but it adds a lot more things. Then when do you use Markdown for now? Well, not. And that's what I'm really curious about. Why would you do this? And then he even says that the things are 2 to 4 times longer than Markdown for the LLM to go through. So if it takes so much longer, you can imagine it also it takes so much more tokens to work through all this and make the sense, because it needs to ignore and strip away all this syntax around the actual information that LLM needs. So why would I do this? This doesn't mean that we are not using HTML. We're using it for the right reasons. For example, when I came to a conclusion with my LLM talking about a specific topic, we have a deliverables folder. In there, there's usually the Markdown version that I work on. And then I say, create a PDF file out of it so I can share it with the executive team or something like this, or with Paco, because then I send just a PDF, perfectly formatted, everything beautiful. Right. And this is what I need. I need to have then a nice outcome, a slide deck, or anything like this that has the proper thing, but stay as efficient as possible while I'm working with the LLM. So, and it's not like
that you have, they are amazing Markdown readers. For instance, I use AI Writer, that is well a classical one, and how it formats the Markdown file, it's pretty nice experience, and I'm a heavy reader. And, and for me, it's amazing to quickly go through Markdown files and quickly read them properly, okay? The other thing is, well, in my case, I created my own UX, okay, to show the content of those Mark files. That perfectly fits the right approach for me to read the information inside my PK. But there are many options, and we are not saying, as always, that you cannot use or you shouldn't use HTML. What we want to communicate is that you need to decide for each outcome the format that really works for you, okay? Because what Tom have just said, if he has more than 100,000 nodes, how come is he going to convert them into HTML? Because what it doesn't make sense. I mean, he doesn't want to create a website with all that nodes. He just wants to quickly move, as he has shown in Obsidian or any other, okay, Markdown reader, so that you can at any moment move through your content. In my use case, I don't use it at all, okay, because the moment that you create your own UX, it's something that you navigate there and you create there all the outcomes that you are needed to really understand the connections between your content. Because I've always said that image of visual image of your thoughts, notes, or whatever on Obsidian or any other tool, it doesn't give me anything at all, okay? Not even the local graph, because that was something that, well, because for me, I don't need, I can navigate perfectly by using the backlinks. I'm used to it, but it's my personal use case. That's why we have never said that this isn't the right way, because there isn't a right way of doing the things, okay? The right way is the one that you can use by following your common sense with no friction at all. That's the right way, and that's why people are amazingly working with Obsidian, whereas there are others that feel much more comfortable using Tana or their own PKA or Markdown or whatever. That doesn't matter. I think that what matters is the foundational core that you have behind. If you understand the concepts behind the structure of objects, how you organize your life, the workflows and work streams that you need to run based on those concepts, when you understand that, the rest, for me, is just superficial, and it's like a byproduct of that solid foundational core.
All
Okay?
this Andrew Capathi's LLM wiki, the HTML trend right now, and all these other things that is the same as we have seen all the years before. It's not like that we launched myICOR now with AI. This is since 2017, as you just have seen, right? But it's always the shiny object syndrome. People don't understand the foundation behind all this, so they jump onto whatever seems to be the most popular thing, and then they wonder why it's not working efficiently or why it's not working for them. And that's where we are so blessed that people come in here for the PKA, but then they realize, oh, there's a whole methodology behind this. This is actually applicable to businesses, real life and real lives for professionals. And then they understand the tool agnostic approach to all this, and now they start building on top of this foundation, and that's really the core here. And I have here, talking about real world, Paco, a comment on YouTube. How do you use myICOR with multiple companies, multiple BKMs, and shared agents with employees? That's again, I think it's important that ICOR defines your personal productivity system and the business productivity system. We just discussed this morning, where Paco, you have the perfect example with SQLite here and your PKA, right? Maybe you have a few words about this.
Yeah, the thing is that people need to understand that the first step towards implementing AI in a company is making people aware that they need to improve just as individuals using AI. Okay, it's for me, it has been the biggest step forward and the leap, because we have completely changed how we work in all our companies. All our companies, I'm running 4 of them, totally different business model, totally different workflows, but the approach is exactly the same. Every single person learned how to work by themselves using AI, just with the workflows that affects to them. And the moment that everyone is working like that is the moment that everything will compound. Okay, the outcomes that every single employee is giving to their co-workers is completely different. Okay, it's like the example that we have seen with our member here in the myICOR platform. He has delivered something that it's an outcome that before it was impossible for him. Maybe he would have dedicated, I don't know, 4 hours to prepare that, to connect the information, to get that clarity, and gain that clarity to express correctly so a third person can understand that. This is exactly the same. The moment that every single employee is enhanced by using AI is the moment that AI will. Thing is that you can also take advantage, and well, we are seeing how Linear is making an amazing implementation of AI within its tool. Okay, because the thing is that we cannot, in my opinion, start sharing agents and everyone, feeding the agent and this. I think that right now the infrastructure and the architecture that we have right now today doesn't allow to do that properly. Okay, it's much better to bet on software that has been working in these environments. Okay, software like we can go to Google Workspace, or we can go to, for instance, talking about Beek, a specialist like SQLite. Okay, that it's a tool that has been since the early days working in knowledge management at a business level. Okay, how a team, a company shares knowledge, and they have perfectly, or well, the best way possible, okay, implement AI into their solutions to really get advantage of that. But our piece of advice is always the same. Start with every single individual. It's something, as we have shown, that just within a month, a person has completely changed the quality and quantity of their outcomes, and that compounded by the number of employees, departments, or whatever you have, it will help you improve. I'm impressed by how specific tools are implementing AI. I think that the ones that started the latest, okay, talking about, for instance, business knowledge management and business project management are the one, because talking about, for instance, Linear wasn't the first one to implement AI inside, but the moment that they did it, it's amazing how people are now, especially if you are in the world of development, software development, They have increased how people manage bugs, how they make releases, how they get a lot of work done without leaving that tool, because that's the important thing, okay? They have found a UX that is amazing for managing this type of projects. And when you put AI on top of that, it works amazingly well. I can say the exact same thing about moving to something that is pure business knowledge management. I mean, if you want to share SOPs, processes inside a company, those type of things, okay? Moving from how do people ask for or request holidays or whatever you want, pure SOP or how a workstream works, these type of things, solutions like a SQLite, they work amazingly well, okay? They have made that knowledge management at a business level. I mean, when we refer to business, we refer to team. I mean, a team of people sharing knowledge, and it works amazingly well without wasting time, okay? Because these guys put the effort on bringing this complexity of AI into something that is really complex, like managing knowledge for a company. And we are not sponsored. Okay, it's important to say that.
This is that slide what Paco is referring to, and I just want to sum this up what Paco said to answer the comment directly. And because we get this question so many times, I want to just condense or synthesize this. What is, first of all, multiple BKMs, but also working with my team. And people want to share these local folders with the team because they see the potential and what would have happened. And that's something you shouldn't do. So there's a distinction between you get a task, you need to get something done as an expert, and now you use this local folder to become more efficient, to deliver your expert output or conclusions or knowledge work that you do. And this is what Paco was referring to, and that's in his marketing company with 70 people too. They get empowered now. They get access to AI to build their own solutions to their problems, right? So your designers, the videographers and so on, they can now generate images and so on. But they have already a workflow that they were going through. Now they use AI to empower their specific workflows. So there we are still in the personal productivity space. But now that's what Paco said. Each individual in the company gets empowered. And this is compounding now inside the company versus forcing the people to use a specific type of AI in a specific tool, and everybody should use this now. And this is nonsense because there is no use case behind. And that's why these companies who claim, well, we tried AI, but it failed. That's the same thing as it was in the past where people were to make business process optimization, but have no clue what they're actually doing every day, or the individual team members. So this is the personal level. And now we see this like slide, which is the BKM, the business knowledge management, that helps you to consolidate all the relevant information around the business and makes it easy for the employees. And obviously this only makes sense at scale to access this information. In a small scale, it's more than enough to have a SOP folder on a G drive and share it with your Google Workspace, because that's what we also see from this other comment. I have most of my files in Google Workspace, curious to know how to use and integrate. Here in this case, I connect to Google Workspace and I can perfectly read and extract the information I need for my personal usage to get work done. But we also had a use case where a person was managing these SOPs for the team updating. You can also use SharePoint, OneDrive, whatever you use for these things, and do the work locally for yourself, do the refinement work, and then you push it to this folder. And by the way, also for SQLite, and so this would work. So if there's a responsible person, like the team leader or the manager or the experts themselves, they need to update the SOP. That would be, again, an option to give them access to these folders. So you see there's a real distinction that you need to understand the different compartments of the company to understand what you use for what. There are different knowledge parts and also the action. You mentioned linear and so on in there, and we're using ClickUp. This is something we don't have inside PKA. We manage our actions still through external tools. We are just talking about knowledge management here, personal knowledge management, which we call now personal knowledge assistance, because it's still the personal knowledge management done through AI or empowered through AI. And this is where everything comes together. If a person with two people, a company with two people, both have their own PKA, both have their expertise, you have a top level system like ClickUp or Linear or whatever, where you set your goals for the business, the projects, the tasks that need to get done. And these two people have separate tasks. They go to desk and start their work on their tasks. They can leverage now their PKA to get these tasks done and get more efficiently done or enrich them better. And then everything gets back into the overall business system, the outcome, the product, the video that is published on YouTube, right? This is not shared in the local folder. It ends up in the business system. And that's something people surely need to understand here.
Yes, because for me, these PKI systems are the low-hanging fruit. I mean, you don't need to dedicate a ton of time, okay, to really feel the sense of quality and quantity, and the outcomes that you deliver is literally insane, okay? I'm really surprised every single day, because every single day, obviously, you know how much better you can work, okay? You are improving yourself by understanding, and the system also understands you much better, and that's, I think, the synergy where everything works on autopilot and pretty intuitive, because we have to also take into account that what this PKA brought to the table is expressing yourself with natural language. That I think that was one of the highest point of friction for any professional, okay, that is not nerdy, that's most of the professionals, okay? You don't need to be a computer science engineer to really deliver amazing outcomes using technology, okay? And this is the gap, okay, that was missing, and that AI fill it perfectly, okay? Because now you just express yourself because you got the knowledge, I think, because that's the thing. People think that AI is to be used for people who have no clue about something, and then thanks to AI, it delivers something amazing. No, for me, AI is for someone who is an expert in something. I don't care the topic, okay? They know perfectly what the story is about that topic, and then AI brings that knowledge to the next level, okay? Because I think that that's what really, okay, dramatically increases the outcomes that you can deliver. And the moment that you put AI into the right place, the right way, with the right people, is the moment that everything compounds, because that's, well, system theory, pure system theory, and it will work, you know, and we have the evidence, not just by the two of us, but for thousands of people that are currently using this approach and taking advantage of AI. But that solid foundational core, that it's the structure, how you explain to AI that, plus the knowledge that you bring to the table, because that's the thing, okay? The professionals in myICOR are amazing people, okay? They know a lot about the business, their departments, the everything. And that's how you really leverage this story, because the starting point is insane, okay? You got a person that has a lot of knowledge, and you have found the way to communicate that knowledge to AI and remove the weaknesses that that person has. For example, when they need to manage more than 100,000 nodes. Well, it doesn't matter how genius you are, it's impossible, okay? You cannot see the connection. You need to have something behind, okay, that supports you to really bring the insights out of that information. And that's what PKI delivers.
Yeah, correct. Just before we close the session, I want to answer quickly 2 questions that I saw in the myICOR chat here. Mike was asking, can I import bring my old knowledge into my PKA you designed? Most files are Microsoft Word, Excel, PDFs, and screenshots. It's a joke for LLMs. It can read it all and it just converts it into what you want. The question is just if you want to have everything in your PKA, as we just stated. If it is business files that you have on your OneDrive or something, maybe you want to keep it there and you just reference to them through your PKA. So you can work locally. It has the context and a connection to it without destroying a knowledge base that you have externally. And then the other thing, another question or remark there was from Christian. He said, I'm a bit overwhelmed by all the possibilities here. I spent the whole weekend building my team and organizing the folder. And now I'm wondering how to integrate the new folder setup into my existing team. And that's exactly what you have now in the course. We added this, not only the lesson, but in the latest scaffold, there is migration instructions. But as I showed you in the video, just go back to the latest video on the YouTube channel or inside the membership. There I show you how I simply migrate my whole big database into the latest scaffold. That's where I have proven the concept, because that was worst case and you already have something running that was based on the foundation. And so it's just an additive process that you have now, instead of really thinking about restructuring. So it shouldn't be an issue at all to migrate this over. So, and then the last thing here on YouTube from Tool Finder, welcome. So do you still use OpenClaw, Tom? I never used it. I used it twice. I installed it the moment it came out because I was very hyped about getting access through my phone to all this. But the privacy issues and the security issues was devastating back then. It was Claude bot, right when it got started, I started using it.
Yeah.
And then after the second time, I have my Mac Mini here. I did it on a separate Mac Mini. I did all this. There is where actually Larry was born, the orchestrator of this team that you can use now. That was Larry, who was born through this process using Telegram, messaging the AI on my local machine. And but then I realized another big flaw, and that's maybe probably a lot of people know now. You're not allowed to use the Claude subscription with these things, especially OpenClaw, as they hate them. And that's what I did. And I suddenly stopped because I was using Opus all the time. I'm not using API through OpenClaw, what the heck, to ask, can you tell me the weather or the latest, whatever. So that's where I stopped using it. But I built it myself because I knew Claude is capable of all this. And if you really look into how OpenClaw was built, he even mentioned that he was running 4 or 5 different Claude subscriptions to build OpenClaw. Guys, this is something that we keep saying. You can build this all yourself, and that's how OpenClaw was born. It was used with Claude back then too, and that's the thing that we have here too. We built our own system, but the folder structure that we provide is completely transparent. You understand step by step, plus the course that even explains to you in more detail why all this is built, and not in some hidden files and scripts and things, and it installs stuff on your computer. You have no idea what happens. This is something you can do for yourself if you need it. You can connect it to Telegram. You can connect it to your WhatsApp. All this is possible just using your LLM and the local folder structure and these agents. So thanks so much for the question, and also thanks so much for the love, Tool Finder. Love it, guys. Just catching up, guys.
It's important. I would like to end up by saying that it's important to understand that it's the understanding of the scaffold that really brings the real added value. It's how you're going to become, for instance, this OpenClaw example. If you don't know what's behind the scenes, how come are you going to grow betting on that approach? Okay, you need to bet on an approach that you really understand, and from there is how you can grow freely, independent, no tool dependent also, and that's the way to do the things the right way, I would say, because it's important to understand, and that's the heart of all this AI hype. Okay, the moment that you really understand the strength and the possibilities and how to make the best out of this new technology is the moment that you, no matter what emerges in the market, you know if it's useful for you or not, if it will compound your current system or not, and if it's worth your time, that technology. We knew, and Tom did the experiment, okay, that OpenClaw was going nowhere, because it's impossible. These type of things, okay, people buying these Mac Minis, what the heck? I don't need a Mac Mini to run my things, man. Why do I need to start buying them? Well, people piling up Mac Minis and creating like a small servers. What the heck, man? This is that's hype, okay? For me, that's hype, okay? This is something that 1 year from now, I think that we will not remember at all this open cloud trend, but we will still have the solid foundational core from where we have grown, okay? Because we really understand it's in our deepest inner self, and it what allows us to keep growing no matter the new technology, the new tool, and whatever emerges in the market. And I think that that's a way to do things properly and bet on the long term, because that's what we want, okay? We want to dedicate the time to things that will resist the pass of time. And I think that that's important to establish the approach.
But it's also important to point out how important OpenClaw was for all this. Because OpenClaw, or ClaudeBot back then, showed how open-minded people are to let AI access everything. Not only the local files, but everything. Browser, bank accounts, all this they gave to OpenClaw to manage this. So this showed all the AI companies, oh well, we can go much further than we actually thought. And that's why you immediately saw the local access for co-work that came out right there. That was the thing. That was the response from Anthropic. Look, we can access local folders too. We just didn't just didn't think that you would allow us to do so, but here you go. And here we are. With a local folder, we have full access. Then we have Perplexity Computer. Then we have suddenly Codex coming out and Gemini Anti-Gravity. All these have local folder access using APIs, and there we go. And that's why OpenClaw just becomes redundant now. And it was unique back then because it's worked around the securities and all this for you. And that's why we need to be thankful that this became such a hype, because this pushed really AI to a whole other level with the computer control, browser control, and all these things that we have in Claude now out of the box.
Yeah, the thing is that it was just, I think, a couple of months, and that was
that was the thing. It's not even
the reply coming from the big players was literally insane. Okay,
the creator of OpenClaw did the right thing to sell it to OpenAI, make a lot of money out of it, and now OpenAI, so what? They cannot do. There's not much behind it. They opened this box and I said, "What the heck? What did we just?" It's like we would sell now the PKA. Yeah, here you go. It's a local folder. You can have it. 1 billion. Or at least, yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, guys, we keep teaching the actual methodology behind all this inside myICOR. So if you're not a member yet, come in and join us. We just reached 5,000 members. Insane, Paco.
Thank you so much.
We just reached this. Thanks so much for all your trust, and we catch you up inside myICOR.
For sure. Take care.
Bye-bye.
See you.